What's going on, Longhorn Nation? It's BJ with B.A.D Talk. This is my first video I'm doing, and I've been wanting to get on here for a few years now and talk about Texas football and break down the game and break down the team after they're done with that week's game. I've just never done it. So many people do it, but it's okay. I want to do it, and if I get one view, that's great. If I get 20 million, that's great. I'm not in it for anything other than this is what I like to do. A little bit about myself. My name is Brian, and I've been in the military for about 18 years now, and I'll be done in 2. And then I'm going to move back to Texas, and that way I can be closer to home and closer to my family. But anyway, let's get on with it. Let's talk about the Maryland game and how Texas looked. Some probably won't agree with me, but I thought Texas passed the eyeball test when they came on the field anyway. Their defensive linemen are big, and they're strong. And I like seeing that. They look like they compare well to other teams in the country when it comes to the size of the defensive linemen. Their linebackers, I wasn't real impressed. Gary Johnson can run. We all know that. And the kid's cut up like no other. He's a good football player, don't get me wrong. He made a dumb penalty and got ejected, but it is what it is. And I kind of agree with Tom Herman, what he said. His target changed. And then you got, the other linebackers. I wasn't real impressed with Roach and the rest of the guys. I just really wasn't. And then the DBs. I tell you what, we got some good-looking DBs. Boyd, Foster, Jones, Stearns. They are all between 6 foot and 6'2" and 205 to 210. So they look the part. They really do. I've been waiting for some good-looking DBs, and we finally got some good-looking DBs out there. Unfortunately, Chris Boyd dropped a big interception, and that was unfortunate because the very next play, Maryland scored on a busted coverage. I believe it was by B.J. Foster. But there's youth back there. There's talent back there. And so I think we'll be fine. I think the future's bright. I really do. Moving over to the offense. Some may beat me up in the comments, and I hope you don't. If you do, just please don't be vulgar, because you won't hear me curse on here, and I ask you not to curse. But I thought the O-line played good. I'm not going to say well. They played as expected in my eyes, is how Coach Tom Herman and Coach Hand and those guys have been building them up. They played okay. I mean, we had 1 sack in the game, and I didn't feel like Sam was running for his life back there like before. Maybe that had something to do with the 3-man fronts that Maryland was giving them and dropping all 15 behind him. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but behind the line. But I thought the O-line held up fine. Of course, our wide receivers with Lil Jordan Humphrey and Colin Johnson and Devin Duvernay, those guys are men out there. Johnson and Lil Jordan are huge. Brandon Eagles is huge. And Duvernay can run with anybody in the country. I mean, the kid can flat out fly. And as you can see, he can catch the football. So it's there. That's what's killing me. And then the running backs. I thought Keontae Ingram and Trey Watson did fine. Of course, Trey Watson had that big fumble towards the end of the game in the 4th quarter, and that hurt Texas, obviously, because we was on the move. But it was a fumble. And unfortunately, a 5th-year senior fumble. We just can't have that in the football game. And I really like to see Keontae Ingram run the ball some more. I thought he had a rhythm going just a little bit, and as soon as he'd get a rhythm, he'd be brought out of the football game. Good looking back. He reminds me of Jamal Charles. He's not the small, fast kid like that, but the way he carries his body and he carries his angles and the way he cuts and the way he carries his feet, if that makes any sense. I thought he played well. I can't wait to see the young man come out for this next football game against Tulsa. And then finally we'll get to Sam. I thought for 4.5 quarters he played fine. I mean, he stayed poised in the pocket a lot better than he did last year. He really did. And I enjoyed seeing that. But, of course, just the bonehead plays, trying to force it when he didn't need to force it. Ultimately cost Texas the football game. It really did. I forgot to say it when I started this video, but I really want to keep the video between 10 to 15 minutes because I like to watch these type of videos, and I don't like to watch them when they go past 10, 12 minutes or so. So I really like to keep them short and sweet if I can. All right, now moving on to the game. My thoughts on the game. I think bottom line up front, Maryland just out schemed Texas. Maryland has an identity on offense. They played fast on defense. They were not scared of Texas by any means, and they hit us in the mouth early, and we responded. But it was pretty impressive when we did score finally and took the lead. They drove right down the score and didn't phase them a bit. And unfortunately, Texas couldn't get over that hump. Couldn't get out of their own way. It was very unfortunate. And we have some young guys playing, and I guess I could accept this if the young guys caused this. But if you think about the detrimental plays that happened within the game that cost us essentially the game. I mean, Chris Boyd dropped an easy interception. And then Charles Omenihu, late hit on the quarterback, cost a 15-yard penalty. Trey Watson, big fumble in the game. That type of stuff they just cannot do as seniors, and they did. And I think I'm missing one. I took a note. Oh, and Davis's pass interference down around in the red zone. And he was completely turned around and was clueless of where the football was at. And you cannot do that as a senior. The ball was floated in the air. It wasn't like Drew Brees fired in a missile, and it was fooling anybody. The kid, Hill, I believe his name was, just threw the ball in the air up for grabs, and Boyd had a pass interference. So all that stuff I just named happened by seniors. In Texas, you're not going to win any football games this way. And Coach Herman knows that. Speaking of Coach Herman, I'll move on from the game now. Because I'm already at 7 minutes. But Coach Herman, where we got to be is, I know you don't watch this stuff, but I'm talking to the Longhorn Nation, and they may agree. I hope they agree. I think they would agree. We have no identity whatsoever. We just run football plays is what it looks like. The defense doesn't have to change a scheme. They don't have to do anything. They just line up, see what we're doing. It's not going to fool anybody. When we lined up for the 2-point conversion, I actually went to was invited to the Notre Dame-Michigan game this weekend, so I was sitting at O'Rourke's there at the bar watching the game. And when they went for 2, I looked at my brother and I told him, remember the USC touchdown that we got late in the game against USC last year, where that right tight end comes all the way under and Sam's going to roll right and throw it back left, and it's not going to be there. Maryland knows it's coming, and it's the exact play he ran. I mean, it was so predictable. I'm just a guy that watches football, and I've been watching football and playing football my whole life. And then, of course, once I joined the military, I didn't, but I keep up with recruits. And just like the rest of you guys out there, I'm no different, no better, obviously. I don't know more than anybody. But I knew that was coming. All right. Mac Brown used to say that every person in Texas is an offensive coordinator. He's probably right. We kind of all knew that was coming. We would have called it. So I really wish he would have rethought that one. And I mean, I don't believe. Yeah, they obviously had timeouts. Could have called a timeout and changed it, or took a delayed game and just went in and kicked the extra point. But hey, it already ended. What do you do? If he would have got it, he would have looked like a genius. So, and who knows, we'd have tied in a football game. The 2-point conversion play, like I said, we knew was coming. And then when they would line up and run it was almost like a pistol, offset eye pistol sort of look. I don't know what they call it. And it's not a zone read. I'm not sure it's an RPO, run pass option. I really think it's just a handoff. And Sam holds on to the ball so long, maybe he's trying to fool the defense that he may keep the ball. I've watched this game 3 times. Maryland didn't even think about Sam keeping the football. At first, he did. In the first quarter, they did. They kept that defensive ends tight or outside and zeroed in on Sam. But as the game went on, they didn't. They just crashed down and tackled the running back because they knew he was getting the football. When he did pull it out, it wasn't a pull out and fire the football. It was a pull out and then take his drops or his steps. I'm sorry. So to me, it's very vague offense. It's not very complex. It doesn't fool anybody. And Coach Canada, he came from LSU. I mean, he's no dummy. He knows how to coach football. So, Tom Herman, what you got to do, sir, is you got to get an identity, and it's got to happen fast. Because I'm telling you, these Texas fans, I mean, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all the Texas websites. I'm not going to name them because I don't know if I can, but the Texas websites and their blogs, and everybody's calling for your head already, buddy. And we're 14 games into this thing. So I really think Tom Herman's the man. I think he get it done. I really like Tom Herman. I've built him up since day one. I like the way he talks. Some of his interviews are starting to get on my nerves. But other than that, I mean, he's a smart guy, and I think he's going to get this right. We as Texas fans got to give him a chance. You know, I'm not ready to take his head off like a lot of people are. I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of people are. I think the problem is we see what's going on down in College Station, and Jimbo's got his players playing Northwestern State team, and they are talking playoffs after that, which it doesn't blow my mind anymore because that's what Aggies do. They talk about the national championship week 1 every year, and then about week 5 we hear nothing from them other than, oh, Texas, where have you been? Anyway, we're not going to get on the Aggies. It's not about the Aggies because obviously I don't like them, and I'm pretty sure anybody watching this video doesn't like them. If you don't like them, go ahead and comment. That'd be funny. All right, Saturday night, 7 o'clock Central on Longhorn Network. We got Tulsa rolling in town. I'm in Tennessee, or I'd be at the game. I hope to see a good turnout. I don't expect it to be packed to the gill, obviously. Maybe USC will be. But I think Texas really, they can't struggle. I think they really got to put it on Tulsa and put it on them pretty good, like they did last year to San Jose State, I believe it was, and kind of bring some of the Longhorn faithful back in and say, okay, that maybe the Maryland game is a fluke. All right. I really hope so. Guys, again, this is my first video. Don't be too harsh on me. This is my first take. I didn't stop it. I'm a single dad, so I got boys upstairs I got to go read to. So I appreciate everything. I appreciate you watching. Hit a thumbs up if you like it. And if you don't like it, hit a thumbs down. I really appreciate all the honesty. And Texas, let's go get this thing done. Again, my name's BJ with B.A.D Talks. Have a good night.